So, am I black? The answer is yes and no. No, I am not black because obviously, physically, I am not black. However, my feelings, my spirit memory tells me that I used to be black. And let me tell you why I think I'm black. So back in the day, I never used to believe incarnation. But since I changed my thinking, I realize now that incarnation is real and it's true. So my story was when I was in the Philippines and when I found out that I was coming here in Canada, I got so excited because I realized that, oh my God, when I go to the Western world, I'm gonna have a lot of friends, the people who live there, and I'm gonna make a lot of friends because I got so excited. And the moment that I got in Canada or here in the Western world and I started interacting with people, working with people, I suddenly realized that the people who live here, the people who were born here, are actually very snobbish people. And the fact that every time they hear me talk, of course, they can tell that I'm not originally from here, or they can tell that I'm an immigrant, and on top of that, I have an accent. So most of the time, I always have this feeling of I was being discriminated, or some people are racist towards me because they don't like to include me to their group, especially the particular race, because part of their thinking, they think that she doesn't belong to us and she's different than us. So why would we make friends with her? And on top of that, she cannot even have a proper conversation with us. So why would we be friends with her? And during that time, I was really feeling disappointed because I was expecting that people here are very friendly and nice and welcoming at the same time. And on top of that, it was really hard for me to make friends here in the Western world because for me, everything was so new. And even in the Filipino community, it was a challenge for me to make friends. So one day I ended up bumping into this black girl, and she was not born here. She was also an immigrant. And then next thing you know, she was so nice to me. And I was so surprised because, oh wow, she's a black girl, but then a lot of people, especially from my country, or a lot of people here, are not really saying a lot of good things about black people. But when I met this girl, she is such an amazing girl. She's just an amazing woman. And because she was not born here, she was also an immigrant. She just had that feeling of understanding towards me because we were both immigrants. And eventually she introduced me to a lot of her black friends. And the moment that I was in their group or being around in their group of friends, it made me feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm home. It makes me feel like I'm home. Why do I feel good around black people? Why do I feel like they're my family? Why do I feel like they welcome me as if they made me into like one of them? So that made me feel so good knowing that I'm so welcomed by those black people. And eventually I started working around black people who are immigrants, and again, I feel so good because they are so friendly. They are so nice to me, and they are treating me as if they're one of them. And that made me feel so good because they are not even my people, especially they're not Filipinos, but on top of that, they treated me as if I'm their sister. They always call me sister, and it made me feel good. It made me feel so warm. My heart was like beating so fast knowing that they are just so welcoming people, most especially from the people who are from Africa, who migrated here in the Western world. They are so nice people. And from that moment, I had this strong feeling in me that, oh my God, why is it that when I'm around with black people, I feel at home? You know what I mean? Even though I'm not really familiar in their culture, but I found out that their culture in Africa and our culture in the Philippines are pretty similar. So that is why I felt so welcomed by them. And that is why part of my heart was telling me, wow, I wonder if I used to be black, because of course I did not believe in incarnation before. And now I believe, and of course I found out that I've reincarnated to many person or humans before I became like this. And it's just a very nice feeling that you can actually remember something that you would not expect. And that is why, even though you think I'm not black, but my heart tells me that I am. So it doesn't really matter if people will say something in a negative way, but the most important thing is it's what I feel. You know what I mean? It's what I feel. Whatever I feel is what's important the most, because it's my feeling. And the most important thing is I am not hurting you guys. I'm not hurting people. Yes, what if I want to say I feel like I'm a black person? Why does it bother you when I feel like I'm a black person? My heart tells me that I used to live in Africa, or I belong in Africa. And that is why when a black person will say, how dare you saying you are black? You're not black. Look at you. You look pale. That's okay. Just because my body is or pale or not black, it doesn't mean that I'm not, because the most important thing is what my heart tells me, okay? So you guys, this is how I feel. Just accept the fact that I am part black. It's my heart that tells me, and you cannot question how I feel, because this is how I feel. And you can't say, oh, I'm gonna decide how you feel. No, I will decide what I feel, regardless if you don't like it or not. I'm sorry to say that. And that is why when I mentioned to you or talk about my vision last time, when I saw those black warriors, it made me feel at home, knowing the fact that it made me feel like I used to belong with them. Not necessarily that I used to be a human living in Africa, or a black person living in Africa. It's my spirit tells me when I saw those black Poseidon looking black guy that I used to be part of their group. And part of me being now, I used to be a warrior. I used to be a soldier. You know, I have this feeling that I used to be a warrior. And that makes sense, because when I saw this guy, I feel like my spirit made me feel belong to them. And so that's my story. So yeah, the answer is yes, I am black right here in my heart. Okay, so now you know. Just curious, another question now pertaining to being black. Do you feel as if you were a black slave too? Well, I don't quite understand what you mean by this, or how to answer you this, because at the end of the day, I don't always know the answer. There's only things that I know that I'm able to share with everyone here. Well, as far as I know, and as far as what I've discovered, the word slavery, or the slavery DNA, was applied to all humans, not just black. And as far as I know, there were 5 hybrid humans that were created by the ancient civilization, and then it became 6. So now I know there are 6 hybrids of human living here on Earth. And I don't know if you guys watch X-Men, but I'm sure a lot of people have watched X-Men before. The thing is, when you watch X-Men, there are things there, or there are hidden messages there that most people do not even pay attention. I myself pretty much understand it, because maybe most people think that, oh, if you're watching a movie, it's just a movie. But really, the movie can be a reality without you not even knowing it. And there was even a point there that Professor X was saying. He said that the Homo neanderthalensis, his mutant cousin, Homo sapiens, was an aberration. Peaceful cohabitation, if ever it existed, was short-lived. Record shows without exception that the arrival of the mutated human species in any region was followed by the immediate extension of their less evolved kin. And yes, I wrote it down because it almost feels like a lot of people, or most people, did not really pay attention to that, even though we know who created the X-Men, or who released the movie X-Men, and they even told you what really happened in the past. But then again, a lot of people, or most people, do not even pay attention to that. And the word slavery, it's not like it only applies to one race. The word slavery DNA, it applies to most humans on Earth. But then again, I cannot explain it much here, because I'm not really an expert when it comes to this kind of situation. However, there is a guy which I've mentioned to you guys about him before. His name is Billy Carson. He has a YouTube channel, and if you could go to YouTube channel and look for Billy Carson, it's called Anunnaki, God Frequency, and the Mastery of 3D Reality. So if you guys have a lot of confusion or a lot of hate, but then you don't want to open up your horizon because you think you're right, they are wrong, or you think you're wrong, they're right, or if you really want to prove or anything, instead of like getting upset or frustrated, oh, what is she talking about now? All you really have to do is open up your horizon, do some assignment, do some research about yourself, because rather than just, oh my God, what are you talking about? Just do some research, guys, because when you do research, you will realize, oh my God, maybe Helga was right. Oh, maybe this Billy Carson was right. Again, just have an open mind to any possibilities, because you'll be surprised what you will discover in life, and especially the thing that has been conditioned to you by your neighbors, your family, our society, the world. You know what I mean? And in terms of your question, being a slave, I just want you to know that growing up, yes, I was conditioned that if someone pays you a lot of money, then you should be okay being a slave to those people. However, I don't feel that way. Maybe I would do the job for the sake of making money because I'm desperate. But when it comes to like, hey, you Helga, I'm going to turn you into a slave, so you do as I say. No, that's not in my blood, and I refuse to be a slave to you or to anybody. And I remember growing up in the Philippines, I was conditioned to be okay being a slave to the people who is supposed to be superior than you. I don't believe in superiority, guys. I just don't. I'm sorry to say that. I believe, this is for me, okay? I believe in my heart that we are all equal, no matter what you do, and no matter who you are, and no matter what your race is. And that is why it's very important to have our own mind, to have our own curiosity, in order for us to realize, no, I am not a slave. It's up to you if you want to condition yourself or label yourself as a slave. But no, I am not a slave. Even though as me growing up in the Philippines, being conditioned as, oh, it's okay to be a slave. And that is why when you see a lot of Filipino, they're gonna take any job they can get just for the sake of making money to support their family. And that's the reason why a lot of Filipino, it's okay for them to be treated like a slave. I am not okay with that. It is not in my blood. I would rather die standing up fighting for my own dignity and principles rather than you treating me like a slave because what, you have a lot of money and I don't? No, I don't work that way. Maybe it doesn't work for me because part of it is I'm a Sagittarius. Part of it is like I have a very strong opinion for myself. I don't care if people will like it or not. But I just want to tell you guys, I got fired twice in my life. You know why I got fired? Because I did not agree being treated like a slave. And did I regret it? Did I regret that I got fired? No. And I was happy and proud of myself because I'm not letting anybody step down on me or take me for granted. Nope, I will fight for it. I will fight for what is right. And people should do the same. And the reason why a lot of people would not do the same thing that I do is because a lot of people or most people are too scared. When you are too scared in your life, you're only limiting a lot of possibilities that you will end up discovering about yourself. And also, many of you have asked me, oh, okay, if you think you're black, then have you ever tried taking a DNA test? Yes, I have. Last year, maybe it's been a year now, I did a DNA test and it came back. It says that my bloodline, the history of my bloodline was found about 5,000 years ago. So you just do the math and figure it out. I hope this answers your question. And if you guys want to support my page or YouTube channel, please subscribe or give this a thumbs up. Or if you have something to say, comment down below. I would love to see your opinion. And again, if you want to support me, please subscribe for more videos. Thank you so much. Mwah.